Hello everybody, welcome to our last week of art. It's been really fun to get to make these videos for you guys and to see all the incredible stuff you've been making at home, and I'm really excited to see this project too. What we're doing this week is we're going to make something called an initials drawing. I think that's what we'll call it. So on here I've got my first, middle, and last initials, and I'll explain what initials means in a little bit. But when you're finished up with this, go ahead and just take a picture of it and send it to me. And I can't wait to see what you make. All right, let's begin. All right, so here are the supplies we'll need for this project. Number one, a small piece of paper, much like this. Hopefully you were able to grab one from school. We'll also need our markers, a pencil, and an eraser. Unless, of course, you already have an eraser. But mine's getting a little small, so I'm probably going to use this big pink one. Okay, to start out, just grab your piece of paper and make sure it's facing like this, kind of sideways. Not like this, but like this. Then take your pencil, and we are going to do two things. We are, number one, going to use our light drawing skills, where you touch the paper very gently so that it's easy to erase whatever line you draw. Second, we're going to practice drawing kind of straight lines. So we need to split this piece of paper into 3 boxes. And to do that, we're going to draw 2 lines. So I'm going to draw my first line right here. And you know what? It's okay if it's a little wobbly. It's just sort of like a guide, something that's going to help us later. And we'll erase it later too. And then we're going to draw our second line right here like that. Okay, now did you notice how when I drew these lines I didn't push very hard on my paper? I wonder, it's probably a little bit tough to see them from the camera, where the camera is, but that makes it a lot easier for me to erase later when I need to. Today we're going to be practicing how to use patterns and how to write our initials. So your initials are the first letters of all of your names. Now, lots of us have 3 names. We've got our first name, our middle name, and our last name. Some people have even more than 3 names. Maybe they have a lot of middle names, or maybe they have 2 last names. But today what we're going to do is focus on just those 3. The first letter of your first name, the first letter of your middle name, and the first letter of your last name. So, the first letter of my first name is M. So I'm gonna draw that right now. When you draw the first letter of your first name, make sure that it goes to all the edges of your box. Do you see how my M is really tall and it's skinny and it's going to all the edges of the box? Like it goes all the way up to the top here, all the way over to the side and to the bottom. That's what I'd like you to do with your first initial as well. So some of you might have M as your first initial. You can go ahead and draw an M just like I did. But for those of you who don't have M for a first initial, go ahead and write your first initial in this box. Okay, now what we're going to do is write the middle initial of your name. So my middle name starts with a C. So I'm going to draw a C that touches the edges of all my box in the middle. So my C is going to start right here, and it's going to go up to the top. Whoop. And over to the side. See how it touches the M right there? That's what you want to do. Make sure your letters touch each other. And go down to the bottom, touch the bottom, and up to the side, and touch the side again. So this is a pretty big C. And you know, it looks a little different. Usually a C is very circular, like this. But my C is very long and skinny, like this. Okay, better erase those. The last letter we're going to do is the initial of your last name. So think about your last name. What's the first letter in that name? My last name, of course, is Simeg. So the first letter in that is S. So I'm going to draw or write an S that touches all the edges of my box, just like my M did and just like my C did. All right, getting all the edges and the bottom and kind of connect it to the C right there. Okay, so now I've got M, C, S. These are my initials. And do you see how all the letters are touching the very edge of the paper and each other? That's what we want. Okay, the next thing we need is gonna be our black marker. If you have your thick markers, that's what's gonna be most helpful for this part of the project. So we're gonna try to make these letters a little bit thicker, because right now they're kind of hard to see. So go ahead and go over to your M, and you know what? I'm going to grab a piece of scrap paper. I'm gonna put it underneath my normal paper so that I don't accidentally get marker on my table. So I'm gonna go over to my M and make that really thick, just like this. Now you might need to go over it a few times, that's okay. But we really want it to stand out. So go over your pencil lines. We're gonna be using our outlining skills. Remember, outlining is when you draw over pencil lines you already made so that they really stand out. All right, there's my M. Looks nice. So let's do the C next. Okay. Let's make that a little thicker. Now, I don't know if you guys noticed, but what I'm doing here is I'm using the side of my marker. Do you see how the side is a lot wider than the very tip? Well, that's good. That's what we want, because that helps us make really nice, thick lines that stand out. So try to do that if you've got your thick markers. Sometimes that works for skinny markers, but it's easier with the thick ones. All right, last letter. Here we go. I'm curious, do any of you guys have 2 middle names? I actually have 2 middle names, but I chose to just do my first middle name for this project. If you have 2 middle names or more, then let's go with All right, sorry about the interruption. Let's see, where were we? Ah, yes, okay. Some of you may have more than 1 middle name. Like I've got 2 actually. You can choose whichever one is your favorite or whichever one comes first. I chose the one that comes first for me, and the initial for that middle name was C. So it's up to you what we do. But now that we're done with the black marker, you can put that one away. And we are going to need your eraser. So if you see any pencil lines that are not covered up by a marker line, let's go ahead and erase those so that our picture looks nice and neat. Let's see. Okay, I think I got all mine. So I think we're good. All right. So now what we're going to do is we're going to draw a few patterns in between the different letters that we have. So by drawing these lines, what we've done is we've split this piece of paper into lots of weird shapes. Like here's like a triangle right here. Here's, I don't even know what kind of shape this is. This is a whole shape, this is a shape. But we need to fill this in to make it a little bit more interesting and exciting. So grab your colors from your box of markers, and we're gonna draw a few patterns. So I'm gonna speed this next part up as I draw my patterns, and I'll kind of try to explain what I'm doing for each one. If you have an idea for a pattern, you can go for it. But if you'd like to copy off of mine and sort of change them up a little bit too, that's fine with me. Okay, here we go. All right, so a pattern is when you repeat a line or a shape over and over again. The first pattern I do here is a little zigzag line. The next one is where I'm repeating a shape. Right now, I'm just drawing a bunch of different circles of different sizes over and over again. You can do this with any shape you want, squares, triangles, stars, hearts, but I chose circles for this one. Alright, this next pattern I chose is a bunch of squiggly lines, a lot like my zigzag, but a little bit smoother. And I did these for all of the top shapes. Alright, this next one is the one that took me the longest. These are spirals. Spirals are shapes that we see in nature a little bit. If you've ever seen a snail shell, that's what a spiral is. We also see them in other types of shells. In the ocean, yeah, that kind of thing. So what I did here is I just did a bunch of spiral shapes over and over. Some are big, some are small. Once again, you can choose any shape that you'd like for your pattern, or you can do spirals as well. And I chose a line that looks like the waves of water or an ocean that you might draw when you're drawing a boat scene. Alright, then we've got a checker sort of pattern, like you see on a checkerboard. So what you do for this one is you need to draw a bunch of squares next to each other, and then I'm going to fill in every other square. This one is a little bit tough to get the hang of, so you don't have to do this one, of course. You can do anything that you'd like to do, but if you can try to get this one done, I'd love to see it. Alright, and there we go. So, let's move this out of the way. Now you've got your initials design. Okay, so to turn this one in, I would like you guys to just send a picture of it to me this week. I feel like that might be the easiest way to turn these in. So, if you have any questions about how this assignment works or how to turn this in, let me know and I can help you out. I'm really excited to see all the different things that you guys make and to find out maybe what your favorite middle initial is, or your only one. That's fine too. All right, thanks for joining me for all these different art lessons, and I can't wait to talk to you next year. Bye.